Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Hopefully y'all can hear me now. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. Gotta remember the hard line in, man. Wi-Fi Streamlabs does not like it. But let's hop into it tonight. So one of the things we're going to do with the Patreon on the premium tier, we're going to have different channels on the premium tier. We're going to have, one of the channels going to be politics. And I kind of want to hop into it tonight because our government look like they have seized an oil tanker in Venezuela. And China has evidently built refineries in Venezuela, which means that the oil that's on that oil tanker is not Venezuelan oil. It's Chinese oil. Low key, sometimes I do call this administration the moron mafia, but if they backdoor us into a world war, because that's how they're going to keep their guy in power, I did not see that one coming. I really didn't. This is unfolding, but probably about a week ago, rumor mill, right? This is all rumor mill. It's all allegedly, but supposedly the European have said that they are actually thinking about using the nuclear option, which was to basically sell off all of American treasuries that they own. So they own, I think, between $2 and $3 trillion in treasury, which is the bond market. And if they liquidate the bond market, basically what they were saying is that would destroy the American government. Not destroy the American government, but it would put such a pause on liquidity in the American government. Basically, our interest rates would go up. United States government wouldn't really be able to borrow, even though it borrows most of the money from the Federal Reserve, but the money that it would get outside, it wouldn't have it. And I was, when that last week, I was like, damn, why would they do that? Like, that would be hurting them as well. But if you're trying to prevent a world war, the first thing that you have to do in a world war is make sure that your enemy can't fight the war by not having access to capital. Because in wars, as they always say, lawyers and soldiers get paid first. So evidently they knew that this was coming. And this administration, man, is wild, bro. They're wild. Supposedly, the president is saying that he want to put himself on the 2026 ballot, even though he's not up for election, because they think that that's going to bring people out to vote. They just got whipped in Miami. Should not have gotten whipped in Miami. Miami hasn't had a Democratic candidate for mayor in, I think, over 30 years. But supposedly, so here's the thing: the mayor down there, I believe, only got 13,000 votes, which in Miami, that's crazy. It's crazy low. Let me see here. Miami mayoral election results. Let's look it up real quick here. I should have my chat GPT up. How many votes? Miami mayoral election results. So she won 59-41 in the election, which is crazy for a Democratic candidate. I want to see if we got the total votes here. So for the Miami mayoral race, only like 36,000 people voted. Miami is a city of, what is Miami population? I shouldn't have to guess this. We have the internet right here. The city of Miami is about 500,000. The metro area is about 2.9 million votes. So I'm assuming that the city of Miami is voting for the mayoral race. So yeah, I mean, out of the city of 500,000 people, only 36,000 showed up to vote. But out of that 36,000, 61% voted for the Democratic candidate. So they're freaking out right now, and I think a lot of the writing is on the wall for them. Um, I don't know. Stay tuned to see what's going to happen with this current administration in 2026. I've always said on the pod, I am so curious about what this election in 2026 is going to be about. Like I'm curious. I want to see if they even try to stop it from happening. But it looked like it's going to be a bloodbath, and it's going to be interesting to see once they know that their time is up, what direction they're going to go. Now, don't get your hopes up. This is always what this country do, right? Get a bad president, they lose the midterms, Democrats get in there, they do the same thing that Republicans do. Then Republicans get back in office, rinse, repeat. I don't know what it's going to take for this country to vote for anybody on any side that really just gives a damn about just America in general. Like not left, not right, but just the country in general. You know, lowering college tuition, making sure everybody has health care, having a strong military, but making sure that we're not spending every dime in the freaking military. So I don't know what it'll take to have a candidate that's going to do all of the above. But stay tuned because low key, it looked like the Europeans are saying that they will liquidate the bond market to kind of stop a world war from happening, but that did not stop the American government from seizing an oil tanker in the last 24 hours in Venezuela. So crazy times. If y'all was here earlier, y'all saw I had Mark Lamont up. He is discussing Jasmine Crockett, and I see that she's running for Senate. I'm not mad at it. I'm not a Jasmine Crockett fan. But I'm not mad that she's running for United States Senate. But let's listen to our brother Mark Lamont here on this, and let's talk about this real quick.
Having a mainstream Democrat in office instead of a Republican in a place like Texas is not a small thing. But Jasmine Crockett is going to need to be pushed to the left on multiple issues. But that's our job. So again, this is not a diss of Jasmine Crockett. It's saying, let's be honest about what we're electing. Many people on this channel care about the issue of Palestine, for example. Jasmine Crockett's position has not been clear, I would argue, on the right side of history historically. Since October 7th, she has certainly shifted, and I'd love to have the opportunity to sit down with her to find out where she actually stands on these issues today, but also to see where she locates herself in the Black radical tradition. She's not a Black radical, but how close is she on issues that matter around healthcare, around housing, around education? These are questions that we have to ask and that we have to answer. We can't just give our votes away. Now, if you're in Texas and you're left with two options, make the right choice. But even then, after you choose her, if she wins, we have to keep pushing.
All right. Hey, I see your question. You say why I'm not a fan? Because most of the time when I see Jasmine say something, it's rhetoric. You know, like everybody has the sound bites, right? You know, blonde beach body. You know, calling President Hitler. I hate when we just get in office and we're just bombastic. And I guess that's my problem with Jasmine is the fact that she's bombastic, and I hate that we run out front when it's not our issue, right? When Trump got elected for the second time, this was an opportunity for black people to just put their hands up and just be like, all right, this is it. It's not my fight. It's not my fight. So to answer your question, why I'm not a fan is I felt that was an opening there, and she should have allowed the whites, the people that are responsible, the Hispanics, the people that are responsible, to run to the front lines. And she ran to the front lines. I didn't like that. So I'm kind of holding that against her. But I'm not mad at Jasmine running for Senate in Texas, because for one, after they have redrawn all the districts, she's not going to win her House seat. Her House seat is gone. So I'm not mad that she's running for Senate, because that's really the only place that she's going to get in. And if you can't win an election in a state like Texas, even though they've gerrymandered it, they only get 2 Senate seats. So everybody gets to vote. So that's going to be white people, Hispanic people, Texans, whatever you want to call Texans, demographically speaking, racially speaking. and black people. Texas has one of the largest black populations, if not the largest black population in the United States. So I think she does have a shot at that Senate seat. That's her, though. I think that's who she is, and the responsible people ain't gonna step up because they're irresponsible. Oh, I agree. Right? We know nobody was gonna step forward, but that's the thing. Democrats have this thing where they let blacks run out front and make ourselves targets, and I'm saying that we shouldn't be the targets anymore. Not for the issues that they create. Trump is not an issue that black people created in this country, right? We're not responsible for Donald Trump, right? We're responsible for Bobby Brown. That's us. Donald Trump, that's them. All right? They got to fix the Donald Trump issue. You will never see any music executive run forward and say, you know what? It's our fault that Bobby Brown is messed up as he is, right? They're going to be like, nah, that's the black community. And when it comes to Donald Trump, which is the white version of Bobby Brown, this is their problem. They need to fix this. They got to fix their Bobby Brown, Donald Trump problem. So, yeah, I don't like when we run out there, because whenever we run out there, we put the target on ourselves, and that target need to be somewhere else. That heat-seeking missile need to find that heat somewhere else. It doesn't need to find it in us. But this is the problem that I have. And, again, this is the biggest problem in the black community, and I hope y'all don't get too mad at me when I say I'm not pro-black anymore. I hope y'all don't get too mad. I know that comes across the wrong way. Doesn't mean I don't care about black people, but what it means is when a Mark Lamont, sits up here and say, well, we got to push Jasmine Crockett to the left, right? How much more left can she be, right? Palestine isn't an issue for black Americans. If we're being honest, the Arabs haven't really treated the East Africans very kindly, or West Africans, if we're being honest. You actually have a live model of how Arabs treat blacks in the nation of Sudan, right? Back in the day, Darfur. I don't know if y'all remember this. It was a big deal, I think, in the late 90s, because there was a civil war in the Sudan. And the Sudan has broken into two now. It's no longer just the Sudan. It is North Sudan and South Sudan. North Sudan is going to be the Arab blacks. Beautiful people, by the way. One of my favorite ladies in the Middle East is Sudanese. Gorgeous. Beautiful spirit. Right? So this is not me being anti-Sudanese. Okay? But they are problematic. And she and I, we have this conversation all the time. So North Sudan is going to be the Muslims. South Sudan are the Christians, right? South Sudan, they don't have a civil war going on right now. North Sudan, the Arabs, they got a civil war that's going on right now. So when you say, hey, the Palestine issue is a black issue, Mark Lamont, and this is where Mark Lamont loses me all the time, because he's so far to the left. He's such a leftist, right? And I think a lot of times that leave us out of the conversation on what we should do as black people, right? Palestine, look, I feel bad for the Palestinians, right? This is not me saying I don't feel bad for them. At the end of World War II, matter of fact, there's an Instagram page I follow called Uncovering History, I believe, and they were going through, at the end of World War II, nobody wanted to take in the Germanic Jews. Like, no country. Like, they offered them to everybody, and everybody was like, yeah, no, we're good, right? The only country that was like, okay, they can come here, we'll bring them here, was the Palestinians. All right? I would say that that's not really working out for the Palestinians. Okay? They're good natured for whatever intents and purposes that they had. It's not working out. Even still, I hate when I see black prognosticators, intellectuals make this issue that, hey, I need to know Jasmine Crockett's stance on Palestine. No, I don't give a damn about Jasmine Crockett's stance on Palestine. What's her stance on student loan reform? What is her stance on Medicaid for all? What is her stance on fighting to get the House and the Senate seat back? And then rolling out against the people that you think are messing up the country. Kevin, you're right. It hasn't bothered them enough to fix it. You're absolutely right. Purpose said Donald Trump more of a Bobby Brown Diddy hybrid. The boy is wild, man. The boy, and again, right? As much as the left try to make Trump the problem, Trump is exactly what I expect. A guy who dad paid for him to get into Fordham, transferred to Penn, then trust him enough to not lock all the properties up that he owned in the trust fund. And the guy that actually, sort of screwed over his siblings, he's exactly what I expect him to be. He's not doing anything that I would not expect him to do, right? So I'm gonna have a hard time saying, I have a problem with the way he's leading, right? The same way if Bobby Brown was president, I wouldn't be surprised, right? Like if Bobby Brown was president and he was like, "Yo, cocaine is legal. We don't need y'all ain't got to run it through the tunnels no more. Just bring it over in the trucks, right?" I'd expect Bobby Brown to do that. So what Donald Trump is doing, I sort of expect him to do it. But I hate this idea that I may be conflating this a little bit here. I'll accept that, right? But the idea that being a black radical means that you need to be further to the left and give a damn about a foreign country, I have an issue with that. Right? I don't think that makes you a black radical. Perhaps it makes you a radical, but I don't think that makes you a black radical. Feel free to disagree with me on that. And this is not me taking a shot at Mark Lamont, but this is me saying like, hey man, I'm sick of every time we have an issue, it becomes a group project. But when other people have issues, it ain't no group project. When other people are getting gains, when H1B1s became a thing, and Indians was coming over here working in mass for tech companies, right? No one was like, well, how can we get black people some of these H1B1s? I mean, I know that's not possible because we're citizens, but I'm just saying, right? No one said like, what's the equivalent of getting the people we have in this country right here into these roles, right? No Indian person stepped forward and said that. And this is not me speaking on divisiveness. This is me speaking on someone as influential as Mark Lamont taking a shot at someone that's influential like Jasmine Crockett for no other reason than you're able to do so because no one is going to run to her defense. And now again, I'm not a Jasmine Crockett fan. This is not me running to her defense. This is me saying, most of the time it's better if we say nothing, right? There's a coach who's getting fired right now. Not discussing him on the pod tomorrow. And bro done messed up. Him and the basketball coach done messed up. Somebody posted, it was like, Michigan ain't gonna hire another black coach for 100 years. And damn it, rightfully so. Right? But I'm still not gonna talk about it tomorrow on the pod. I don't care if it shows up on the board or not. I'm gonna Dana White the hell out of it. But for some reason, when everybody else has an issue, we somehow, as a black radical, we need to go run to the front lines of it. Nah, I'm gonna pass on that. Y'all don't have to pass on it. What I'm saying is I am going to pass on it. Pastor Mike Wills is saying, no thanks. I'm not going to be a black radical. I'm not going to be a black leftist. I'm gonna let them deal with what they deal with. Let's see here. I do have a segment for Dr. Tommy Curry. Y'all know that's my guy. I gotta find the segment. It's not. I wish it was video. It's all audio. If y'all have an opportunity, go through it. They're doing a series. Let me see here.
Is that we don't have black solid.
There we go. But it kind of goes into the conversation that we just had about black solidarity, right? That this idea of black solidarity is, well, we got to be the black radical, right? We got to be the radical. And I want y'all to hear something that Dr. Tommy Curry, he just recorded this. This just got recorded like 2 weeks ago. Torian Walker, you can see him at the bottom. Or you can just go Dr. Tommy Curry in the search bar. And Torian is going to be one of the top. It's going to be one of the most recent videos for Dr. Tommy Curry. Dr. Tommy Curry is a professor of black male studies. He's pretty much the guy that has founded this field. This field is brand new. It's less than 10 years old. He is a professor at Edinburgh. He started at Texas A&M, said something that pretty much got him kicked out of Texas A&M. Low key, sort of got ran out of the country. And he went to the professor. He's a professor right now at Edinburgh University in the UK. I want to say Edinburgh is in Scotland.
Black racial consciousness, whatever term you would like to use, that's offended that black men are still being hung from trees. We have black people in black studies and in black universities that hate black men just as much as white people do. We have classes in these courses saying that black men are dangerous, rapists, deviants, criminals. You pick your poison. So you can't dehumanize a population within your own group and then expect people to come together because they're offended that their lives were taken. Even now, we don't have a conversation about these young black men and boys being innocent, having potential, being a loss to the potential of our race. So none of those conversations have even been had. And the crazy thing is I saw on Instagram that there were some pictures from the Kimberly Crenshaw's AAPF. And it was talking about the mobilization of misogyny and misogynoir by the Trump administration along with racism. I didn't see any mention or focus on this lynching. See, we're being distracted by a kind of language that was meant to mobilize black middle class people into white institutions and political programs, and we're not attending to the violence that's happening in southern states, throughout the Midwest, and in various black communities where white people are taking over, where white people are marching into HBCUs under the guise of free speech to tell black people that they're inferior. Where you have
now, I'm glad he mentioned that right there. Because what the little series that they have where they go on to black campuses and challenge, other people's thoughts, the left thoughts. And I'm glad he mentioned it because they are allowed to go on HBCUs. But to Mark Lamont's point, if you want to go and protest Palestine on PWI universities and campuses, they were actually doxing those people and making those people become expelled from school, right?
Have white people now saying that because black people are not going to be in institutions, they should be controlled and a managed population. This isn't just fascism. It's fascism, as I've said before, because white people are affected. We are seeing the deliberate cultural shift where black people are now thought to be a managed population that do not have the freedom and need to be prevented from resisting an uprising against the white majority. So when we see this happen, I don't know if it's reverting back. I think that it's an amplification of the tendencies that's been there. And I want to be really clear about this. For the last 30 or 40 years, black scholars, black activists, black pundits, any black person that believed that racism was fundamentally there and was built off violence was silenced and not hired. This idea that black people are slaves and always will be slaves from Afro-pessimism is the most polite version of what we've discussed in southern states literally since I was a child. Because you can say that black people are permanently oppressed or black people are forever the slave, but that's not the threat. The threat is when black people believe that they should be free and should be better than the condition that white people try to hold them in. And in Louisiana, where you have Deacons or you had Huey P. Newton and you have a history of resistance, even by guns if necessary, that is a fundamentally different kind of thought. It's a different way of thinking about your relationship. So until we get our heads on straight and understand that our fate is tied together, black men, women, and children, black families and communities against the white population that's trying to spell our doom, we are not going to be able to respond to this moment. And unfortunately, given what Trump's already done in less than a year, we don't even have the kinds of protections that were built up for us in the 60s and 70s to allow us to respond to this moment.
And this is where I become part of the problem. And I played that intentionally because this is where I become part of the problem, right? He said until we understand that we're all interlinked, right? All of our fates are linked together, right? Black children, black men, black women, right? Until we understand our fates are interlinked, there's no way for us to try to defeat the issue that we have. And this is why I say this is where I become part of the problem. Because one of the things that I have said is that the top third of black men need to be in a tactical retreat, right? Tactical retreat doesn't mean that you're running away, okay? A tactical retreat is an organized withdrawal from a battlefield when you recognize that your enemies are flanking you and you're on the front lines. So you have to withdraw so you can reorganize yourself in order to fight more effectively at a future date. And I'm waiting for someone to make the argument that no, we can recover from this death spiral that we're in as a black community. Right? I'm waiting for somebody to provide me with the evidence, right? Because it's not a defeatist attitude. I think that the top third of black men are perfectly okay to be able to withstand with whatever comes if we disengage from the fight, if we disengage from the front lines. Because I am of the personal belief that we lost too many valuable individuals on the front line, right? Whether it's Nelson Mandela being locked up and broken in prison, right? His wife being left to her own vices, on the continent. Patrice being murdered by the Belgians, Sankour, on and on and on. Like you can go through this is just African, on the motherland, right? We can come back to the United States, right? Medgar Evers, one of the most important people, assassinated, right? Dr. King, assassinated, right? Malcolm X, greenlit, assassinated by his own people. Huey P. Newton, greenlit, right? But assassinated by his own people. Fred Hampton, drugged and assassinated by the police department, up there. We have too many valuable men that if they were here, we'd have a different environment, right? Most of these men, like Nelson Mandela died, 10 years ago? That whole era should have been where all these men were passing away. Not in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So again, I have to acknowledge that I don't know that I have the right answer, but I have to acknowledge I'm part of the problem when I say, I think the top third of black men need to withdraw from the community, right? Because I know that the top third of black men are the pillars of what's left of the community. So when I say it should be a withdrawal, that's me acknowledging that it's going to fall apart. But I would say I would almost rather that happen than for us to lose the next Fred Hampton, the next Dr. King, the next Sankour, Patrice. Right? I would rather it fall apart and those men are able to rebuild, whoever those men might be that exist now, before, the future, than us losing those men and blacks becoming a permanent underclass in this country. So I do acknowledge that perhaps my ideology becomes problematic and is in opposition of the unity that we need. I fully admit that and accept that. That's why I would never say my way is the right way. It's just that me looking at everything, it's just that's where I think we're at as a community. But I am willing to listen to anybody that has an opposition view of what it would look like if we unify and how we unify. I don't see a way that we could do it when our marriage rates are so low and our community doesn't seem to be pro-nuclear family. Do I feel is the only way at this point? It's the only way that I see. I shudder to think that becomes an ideology, right? I shudder to think that what I think becomes an ideology. Because I don't know. But for myself, when I look at how great men in our community are treated, right? I can in good conscience say, hey, run to the front lines, right? One of the biggest things that I think that we should do as a black community is we have to have a think tank. We need our own APAC. Like we really, really do. Right? We need to be electing people. Right? I want us to get more politically involved. But every time I say get politically involved, I got people here screaming that we should be leftists and give a fuck about Palestine. And it's not that I don't like Palestinians. That's not what I'm saying here. But when I see us giving more of a damn about what's happening elsewhere and not what's happening here. And I see solid bros being ripped apart by the system. Like we can't spend our whole lives trying to avoid going to jail. Right? No one else lives like that, man. No one else lives like that. And I hate this conversation of arrested development, generational trauma. Most of us are fine, right? Yeah, there's a subset of us that they're dealing with generational trauma. They've been raised without fathers, and they're wild feminine men. Like, yeah, I get it. And they join gangs and they do crazy wild stuff. I get it. But at some point, we have to recognize that there's a certain part of the population that's just never going to do right. Let me see here. I'm trying to see where the other part of the conversation I wanted. Here we go. And then we're going to end out on this right here.
That loss, and that attitude, that apathy, that indifference towards Black Death, where it's not spectacular anymore, it's not aberrational or boring. That's what's going to lead us into crisis, because it means that the only way we think we're going to get out of this is to yet again appeal to white liberals who at the moment have nothing to say to us, right? And it's a disgrace to what we think Black politics actually is.
Hold on, let me play that part back.
That loss, and that attitude, that apathy, that indifference towards Black Death, where it's not spectacular anymore, it's not aberrational or boring. That's what's going to lead us into crisis, because it means that the only way we think we're going to get out of this is to yet again appeal to white liberals who at the moment have nothing to say to us, right?
And this is where I agree with them, right? Liberals right now have nothing to say to the Black community, right? When Obama and Biden was in office, we always seen everybody protesting, right? Protesting for this, protesting for that. How many marches on Washington have we had since Trump been in office this term? So there is this identification of power, right? Like, they do recognize that violence is power. And the only people that have been nonviolent in this country, by and large, has been Black people. Like, even when they say Black people are violent, vast majority of Black people's violence is inner. It's inward. It's Black people attacking one another. It's never Black people attacking the system, robbing banks, robbing people from other demographics. It's never the case. So the truth of the matter is, vast majority of Americans never experienced violence from Black people. It's a myth. It's a story. So when I look at productive Black males, I have to say, we can't be pro a community that leads in out of wedlock births and abortions. How is that even possible? Show me lead in one of those categories, bro. So to look at a community that's in that much of disarray and say, I need to be pro that community, I have to pause myself. I have to be like, I can't be pro that. I ain't anti it. I ain't wishing it poorly, but I do think that this is an opportunity for Black men to have their Gideon moment, right? Gideon from the Old Testament. Y'all pastors probably mentioned this one time if you went to church for 18 years. But I do think that this is the opportunity. This is an opportunity for us as a collective to say, let's back up. No, we're not ready for it as a unit. And part of me saying, like, hey, if we take the best of us and if we back up and if we actually took the best of us, right? And this is, again, it's not a talent attempt, because that was like, hey, we're going to take the best of us, and then the best of us is going to pull everybody else with us. No, this is damn near outright abandonment, right? This is who is it? I think it's General Heraclitus. I believe he was attributed this quote. Probably didn't say it, but he was like, whenever you go to war, he said, whenever you take 100 men to war, he was like, right off bat, 10 of them don't belong, right? He said 80 are cannon fodder. 80 are just there to be targets acquired by the enemies, right? And then he says 9 are fighters, and we're lucky to have them because whoa, they make war. But he was like, the one, he's the warrior, and he will bring them all home. And I think that we're in this place now where we don't know who the warriors are. We don't know who the fighters are. The men who don't belong are leading the community, right? Which means that they will get everyone destroyed, right? They will get the fighters destroyed. They will get the warrior destroyed. And I think it's time for men that know that they are fighters, men that know that they are warriors, to say, hey, if the moron is going to lead the community, I don't have to be a part of that community. I can back out of that. I'm going to start calling Wednesday Bible class because I be coming on here and I be getting off stuff that I don't really get off on the pod. But that's all I really got tonight. I appreciate y'all letting me rant a little bit about how I want us as top black men to at least protect ourselves, so there can be a future black community, a black community that's not beholden to what's going on outside of the country, but a black community that is beholden to itself. And instead of having to fight, the enemies of emasculation, supremacy, gender wars, right? Like we're having to fight all that right now. To just back out, let those things battle each other, and then we can try to take on what's remaining after that. But that's all I got tonight. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I digress. We're stressed. Hey, Mimi. We are stressed. And that's why I want my brothers to take a step back, find a respite. And if we because we do that, at some point we will be strong enough to be able to lead the community. We will be strong enough to have a community that is strong, right? But I can't be pro something that wants to fight for everything except for yourself, right? Yeah, I appreciate that, Kevin. I appreciate it, man. But that's all I got tonight, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Rue Kid, what's up, man? We need to get up. But that's all I got tonight, man. I'm going to go ahead and tune out of here for tonight. New pod will be out tomorrow. I think we'll be recording that tomorrow. All right, let's go over some topics real quick. Tell you what we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss are black institutions broken? I actually got to research that when I get off here. Sports, we got to discuss the Shador thing. We're going to discuss whatever ball brother. What's that? Leangelo? He wilding right now. We're going to discuss him. I am going to mention Coach Moore tomorrow. I'm not going to talk about him, but one of the things that I will discuss for brothers is, hey, we can't afford to be fucking the help, bro. We got to stop fucking the help. Got to leave the help alone. We're going to discuss, Joe's takes on podcasting in the future. What's too many kids to date? Do we need to discuss the Ball brothers? Yeah, Leangelo. We're going to discuss Leangelo tomorrow. So, again, y'all know I don't go in on brothers, but one of the things that I do is make sure that we're not making fools of ourselves or putting ourselves in bad situations. And we're gonna talk about Dr. Cheyenne Bryant being on Club Shay Shay tomorrow. Again, nothing bad. The group chat is where I actually get it off. On a platform, I try not to really get it off on people because the internet is forever. Group chat though, I get it off though. So stay tuned for the Patreon because that's where we'll get stuff off. And then we're gonna discuss. We're probably gonna talk about Ray J saying that Brandy and Beyonce doesn't get along. And I can low key see them because Brandy was kind of supposed to be the next Whitney Houston, and I think that became Beyonce. And I do think Brandy feels away, but I think after Brandy had that auto accident, I think everybody kind of knew it's like, hey, we can't let that be you. Yeah, he the brother that doesn't play basketball. He's the one that had the top song. But yeah, y'all, I'm gonna get out of here tonight, man. I appreciate all y'all. I gotta make sure this little boy get his butt in bed. It's bedtime for him. Holler at your boy if y'all